Surrender Starmer. That's the label the Prime Minister has been branded with following his new reset in EU relations. And frankly, Nigel Farage couldn't have asked for a better campaign gift, could he? The man who dragged Brexit over the finish line is now watching on as the resurgent Reform UK leader. That's as the Prime Minister rolls out the red carpet back to Brussels. Brexit voters, like you and me possibly, will undoubtedly be furious today as they see smiling, unelected EU bureaucrats arrive in London to shake hands on a deal that has begun the big Brexit betrayal. The big question on my mind is this. Has Keir Starmer just handed Nigel Farage and Reform UK a stonking majority in the next general election? I'm Alex Armstrong and this is GBN Originals. Well, the ink is barely dry on this reset deal and already the stench of surrender is wafting through Westminster. Starmer, the man who once claimed to respect the Brexit vote, has now handed over our sovereignty on a silver platter. That's while Farage sits back, smug as ever, saying, "I told you so." Take fishing, for instance. As leader of UKIP, Nigel Farage once stood on the Thames with a flotilla of fishing boats surrounding him, a symbol of the little guy fighting back against the Brussels machinery. But now, Starmer's deal extends EU fishing rights in British waters until, guess what, 2038. 12 more years of foreign trawlers plundering our seas while our own fishermen are left with the scraps. Farage said Brexit would be about taking back control of our waters, and Starmer's handed that control right back to Brussels, hasn't he? And it's not just fish, of course. It's borders. It's migration. Remember when Nigel Farage warned that Brexit meant taking control of our borders? Well, Starmer's youth mobility scheme has just kicked the door back open. A backdoor entry for young EU citizens to live and work in the UK for 3 years. The British people voted to control our borders, not to watch Starmer reopen them under a different name. Well, Nigel Farage, who spent years warning about unchecked migration, is now the one looking very much like a prophet. And then there's the alignment with EU regulations. Nigel Farage made Brexit a battle cry against EU diktats. Of course, you'll all remember the Take Back Control slogan shouted over and over again. Now, Starmer's deal ties us to the EU standards on food safety and animal welfare. We're right back to taking Brussels marching orders, aren't we? And you can bet Nigel Farage will be there to remind everyone of it from between now and the next general election. What about defence cooperation? Well, Nigel Farage and Reform UK have warned about the EU's ambitions for a European army. Well, Keir Starmer insists it's about stability. But whose stability? British interests or Brussels interests? The EU's already salivating at the prospect of pulling the UK into its defence orbit, and Starmer seems only too happy to oblige. Meanwhile, Farage stands there shaking his head saying this isn't what we voted for. And it's not. It's not been in any of Keir Starmer's manifesto pledges, has it? And let's not forget the European Court of Justice, also known as the ECJ. Nigel Farage hammered home the message. No foreign judges dictating to Britain. But under this deal, we're taking orders from those foreign judges in Europe. A direct affront to the very core of the Brexit mandate. Starmer's ceding control and Farage is ready to capitalise on every inch of it. You bet he will. And here's the kicker. The way Starmer and his Labour team are selling this deal. They're calling it resetting relations. Mending bridges. Bridges to what? Bridges back to the EU. Bridges back to the very institution this public rejected in an historic referendum. We spent years battling against the bureaucrats in Brussels. Well, the EU is already crowing about how Starmer's the man to bring Britain back into the fold. They're not hiding it. They're already sharpening their knives, ready to drag us back in fully, but without any voting powers. And of course, Reformer Nigel Farage, well, they're ready and very, very much willing to lead the fight for Britain all over again, because this is going to drag up those same Brexit arguments over and over again to the next general election. Mark my words. This isn't just about fish, is it? Or our borders, or our courts. It is about our sovereignty. It's about our democracy. It's about the Brexit vote that we all fought so hard for. Now, Starmer is systematically undoing it. And let me tell you this. While Starmer may be waving his white flag to Brussels, I can guarantee you Nigel Farage is uncorking the champagne bottles. Why? Because he knows that every betrayal, every sellout, every surrender just hands him and Reform UK more ammunition for the next election. Some are even saying Keir Starmer is Reform UK's Employee of the Month. So is he Surrender Starmer, or Nigel Farage's best campaign asset, or simply doing the best for Britain? Let us know what you think in the comments. I've been Alex Armstrong, and don't forget to subscribe to the GB News YouTube channel to stay up to date on all the latest on this and many other stories.
Top story today, Britain is back on the world stage. Those are the words of the Prime Minister as he signed off a new landmark post-Brexit reset deal with the European Union. The government claimed the reset will cut red tape for travellers and businesses, boosting the economy by £9 billion by 2040. Hailing it as good for jobs, good for bills and good for our borders, the Prime Minister says it delivers on his mission to back British workers and put more money in people's pockets. The deal will allow French fishing boats access to British waters for 12 years, no return to the single market or freedom of movement, and holidaymakers will be able to use electronic passport gates when travelling in and out of EU member countries. Speaking this afternoon, the PM heralded a new era for UK and EU relations.
Britain is back on the world stage, working with our partners, doing deals that will grow our economy and putting more money in the pockets of working people. The decisions that we've taken to stabilise the economy and lead the way internationally have made Britain a place where people want to do business once again.
However, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch thinks the UK is becoming a rule taker from Brussels once again.
There will be things that we agree with in this deal, of course. We want British businesses to be able to sell more. But there was a way to negotiate this deal without selling out so much else. Like fish, for example. We're paying more money into the EU. I think that's extraordinary. This is a complete sellout. I am completely shocked that Keir Starmer has agreed to all of this, concession after concession. What he wants to do is just be able to say we're closer to the EU without working in the national interest. I do not think that this deal, there may be good things in it, but overall this is definitely not in the national interest.